The following presentation has been closed captioned for the hearing impaired.
A brand new attraction is coming to Epcot 94. It's called Innoventions, and it focuses on all the new technology that's just about to improve our lives, expand our horizons, and fuel our imagination.
It's about the gadgets, the gizmos, and the mainstream technologies that are going to be important to all of us.
This will be extremely popular. I think it'll be very entertaining, and I think it will really satisfy an expectation people have when they come to Epcot that they are going to see something that they haven't seen before.
People will experience all of these products before they're ever available to the mass market.
Innoventions will let you touch and interact with what's just around the corner. It'll be your first chance to see how you'll live, how you'll work, how you'll play in the years to come. For nearly 150 years, people have flocked to World's Fairs and expositions to get their first glimpse of new technology.
Well, World's Fairs, if you go back in time and look at them, were actually quite famous for introducing new piece of technology, and it was interesting even in the early part of the century where a new concept in power generation or light bulbs or refrigerators or the telephone, I think, was introduced at the Philadelphia Centennial in the 1800s. So the tradition of World's Fairs as places where new ideas are presented, technology as well as entertainment, is a very rich one.
At the Philadelphia World's Fair in 1876, the typewriter was introduced, which would transform the way office work was performed well into the next century. In 1893, the dawning of the age of electricity was celebrated with a brand new invention, the Ferris wheel. 7 years later, moving sidewalks were built at the 1900 Paris World's Fair to transport visitors around the exhibition. Just a few years later, the automobile, which would change the daily fabric of our lives more significantly than any other invention, was showcased at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. Another transportation device, the airplane, was demonstrated at the same time. But the most popular new treat was probably the ice cream cone, which was first created right there at the fair. In 1915, at the San Francisco World's Fair, the first transcontinental phone line was demonstrated. Astonished visitors listened to headlines from New York papers and the pounding of the Atlantic Ocean against the eastern seashore. At the Chicago World's Fair in 1933, the Skyride thrilled fairgoers, providing a stunning aerial view of the entire exhibition. 6 years later, the 1939 World's Fair in New York ushered in the age of television, when it became one of the first events ever televised. The broadcast went out to 3,000 homes in the area. And in 1964, the Walt Disney Company came to the New York World's Fair and designed several innovative exhibitions, including the Carousel of Progress. World's Fairs have captured people's imaginations by offering a look into the future, by showing how technology would help people work more effectively and efficiently, and live life more fully. And now, Epcot 94 revives the grand tradition of World's Fairs by providing a permanent showcase for new technology.
Innoventions is a kind of a word that combines invention and innovation. It's actually the new core of Epcot Center at Walt Disney World in Florida, and it really deals with the near future. What's going to happen to all of us in our lives tomorrow, next month, next year, but not 20 years out.
Innoventions is really a reflection of something Walt Disney had in mind way back when he first started talking about Epcot.
Epcot will take its cue from the new ideas and new technologies that are now emerging from the creative centers of American industry. It will be a community of tomorrow that will never be completed, but will always be introducing and testing and demonstrating new materials and new systems.
I mean, the whole idea, as Walt Disney articulated it, was that the best and newest ideas from corporate research labs and design studios would be brought to this place, and the public would get a chance to see where the future is going.
Almost every company that's involved with Innoventions is the leading company in its field. So when you have General Motors, you have the leading car company. When you have AT&T, you have the leading phone company. When you have Sega, you have the leading game company. You know, we have tried to get only those companies that excel in their fields.
Innoventions will showcase a range of products from cutting-edge companies. You'll be able to see their latest offerings displayed in unique and exciting exhibit spaces.
Innoventions is definitely part of the tradition of AT&T exhibiting at World's Fairs and major exhibits of that sort. It's especially important to us at times when things are changing rapidly.
When the telephone made the transition from operator assisted all the time for every call, kinds of calling, where the operator knew everything about your life and your community, that was a big transition for people to take on that responsibility, to be able to make the call themselves. That was really the first major transition of introducing technology to the consumer.
Take up your receiver and always listen for the dial tone. Remember how it sounds, a steady hum. Now, let's dial the number we looked up and made a note of. W O.
I went to the 1964 World's Fair in New York. There was a demonstration between touch-tone dialing and rotary dialing. Rotary dialing was what everybody had at the time. It was the way people made telephone calls.
Hi, this is the Bell System's new touch-tone dialing. With this indicator, you see how many seconds you saved the new way. Let's try it. Okay, I'll race you. Ready? Go. I beat you.
I think the most exciting thing about phones is that they're going to disappear in the next few years. Phones right now are a physical object on your desk, but there's soon going to be a feature that'll show up in your TV set, it'll show up in your wristwatch, it'll show up on your computer. So actually you're seeing the end of phones as we know it.
The most important thing that we would see the public taking away from the Innoventions exhibit is the dramatic changes that are happening with technology. This exhibit is one that will change from time to time as we're ready to bring out new products.
Everyone will have a personal communicator with them. The idea of being out of communications with your fellow man any part of the day will be scary.
It's